Hi, my name is Charles Phelps Jr. and today I will be teaching you about 3D printing. What is 3D printing? 3D printing is also known as additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is done in the additive process. In this process, several successive layers are laid down until the 3D object is complete. The 3D object is produced using a materials printer. This printer is giving the image in which it is to produce through digital technology. Since the 21st century, 3D printing has become a lot more affordable, and through that, sales have increased dramatically and prices have dropped drastically. Some history about 3D printing is that the printers originated in 1980s, and back then they were very large, expensive, and bulky, and not very many had access to them. The term 3D printing was coined at MIT in 1995 by then graduate students Jim Brett and Tim Anderson, who are known somewhat as pioneers of the 3D printing world. They are head and owners of Z Corporation, which is one of the largest 3D printing corporations in the world today. They also made the world's first 3D printer by turning an inkjet printer into a 3D printer. What they did was they made the printer produce a powder instead of putting ink onto paper. Some usages of 3D printing is jewelry, footwear, industrial, AEC, which is also known as architecture, engineering, and construction. 3D printing is also used in the dental and medical fields and also in education. However, 3D printing can be used in a various amount of industries that we are part of today. 3D printing can be used at any stage of the product life cycle. The first would be pre-production. This is known as rapid prototyping. This is the most common form of 3D printing today. The second stage would be full-scale manufacturing. This is more of the industrial side of 3D printing, which is known as rapid manufacturing. The final stage is post-product customization, in which if you have a product, then you can customize it using 3D printing. Here on my PowerPoint, I have an image of the new James Bond movie in which the Mercedes-Benz in this movie was a digital 3D printed image. It is not a real Mercedes-Benz. There are three general principles to 3D printing. The first is 3D design. This design is given to the materials printer using a CAD, which is also known as a computer-aided design or animation modeling system. This software approximates the shape and size of the image and delivers it to the printer in which it prints. The printer uses triangular facets in order to print the object in successive layers, as I spoke about earlier. The smaller the facets, the higher quality the image or object will be. The second principle is the actual printing. The printer is giving materials such as powder, liquids, or even sheet materials to do the printing. The printer uses additive systems in order to print the images, and these objects are produced around 3 to 4 hours, or depending on how complex the image is to be printed, or the machine that is doing the printing. This printing can be used for domestic and commercial use. The third principle is finishing. Native resolution may be sufficient in 3D printing, and native resolution is the actual resolution of the object to be printed. If it is not sufficient, then the object is normally produced at a large scale and then finished down to the final product using more of the traditional processes such as subtracting, which is cutting, shaping, or drilling. Finally, I was able to speak with the CEO, Mr. Emil Reyes of Rapid Technology, which is the local 3D printing company here located downtown in Honolulu, Hawaii. It is located very close to the 4th Street Mall, and he was a guest speaker in one of my other classes in which I was able to get his contact information. And I was able to get his email, and I asked him would he be willing to do an email interview. He was grateful enough to say yes, in which I got a lot of information from him, most of which is my PowerPoint is based upon. During my interview, I wanted to ask him also not only about 3D printing, but about his company. And then during this interview, I asked him what type of market is his company a part of. He's told me that it was a very competitive market and printers are becoming more affordable. So now he is looking forward to seeing more competition come to downtown Honolulu. I also asked him what were some major goals of his and his company. He said he hopes to become more versatile, in which 3D printing has a very high potential to do so. And he also wanted to use them in any industry, which it has the potential to do. He also said one goal is that to keep up with technology because it is constantly changing. And lastly, I asked him what type of corporate culture was his company. And he stated that they are a very close-knit, around 6 employees strong, and they have had several HPU students become interns at their company. So if any of you HPU students are out there interested, this would be a great company to be a part of. That concludes my presentation and my speech to you on 3D printing, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.